Welcome to Brave Conversations, a podcast dedicated to amplifying voices and experiences of underrepresented communities across the university. This is Brave Conversations, and I am your host. Opportunities have changed, but attitudes haven't. Women in STEM are still seen as an exception, not a norm. Women are still watched, doubted, and tested. Today is going to be all about those experiences that numbers can't capture. And we are joined by our special guests, Maddie and Hawa, to talk about breaking those expectations and owning every part of who we are. Would you like to start by introducing yourselves and a little bit about your journey into STEM?
Yeah, so I'm Maddie. I'm a third year mechatronics student. I went on placement year last year, and I had a very unconventional approach into STEM. So I originally did criminal investigation for a year, and then fell in love with motorsport. Hence the hoodie. Fell in love with motorsport, and then ended up deciding I wanted to change my degree. So I did change to mechatronics.
So I'm Hawa. I'm a second year mechanical engineering student, and I really just chose engineering really just because I wanted to. I've been choosing my degree. My family was really like, go into healthcare. That's where all the women are at, and I was like, no. And that's how I initially started as honors in computer science, and I didn't think it was for me. And now I'm a very happy mechanical engineering student.
When was the first time that you felt that you don't belong in that STEM space?
So originally I was on a foundation year, and I approached the course leader and was like, I'm finding this too easy. And to be fair to her, she took a massive chance on me and was like, right, I'll give you this exam. You do this exam, and I'll move you up. So I was teaching myself A-level maths because I never did that at A-level. And I went to another tutor for help with it. And she basically turned around and said, you're never going to be able to do this. You're never going to be able to teach yourself. And I don't know whether it was because I was a woman, but that was the first time that I really felt like, people are doubting me. And this is probably going to continue to happen throughout the rest of my degree. So
That's really, really terrible experience. And yourself?
I also came in through a foundation year. So I did my O levels and then I came in through a foundation year. And as I mentioned, I started off in computer science. And surprisingly enough, in computer science, within my cohort, I was the only girl, specifically within my group. And I remember the very first time that I just thought, wow, was we were in a math seminar and I didn't do A-level math either. So it was a little bit new to me. I was, learning, and a lot of the rest of the boys in my class, they were really familiar with math already. So when I was asking questions, and then they were like, oh, but we already do this. And I was like, okay, well, I don't. So if you let me ask my questions, right? And I think I was just telling with this person behind me, because he was like, oh my God, you're asking all of these questions. I'm like, well, I'm here to learn, aren't I? And I swear to God, bro, just went, shh. And I don't know about anyone else, but I don't think that's how you talk to your peer, right? It's like,
I mean, if it was a man, he wouldn't have done it.
oh, yeah, he would not. And I was like, don't shh me. And shh. And at that moment, I really just thought, I can't believe that just happened to me. And that was really the first time where I was like, I can't believe something like that would actually happen to me. Because I'm from a third world country. We, generally speaking, as growing up, we were like in smaller circles. And I was always in an environment where everyone just respected each other. If you're smart, you're talented, you're hardworking, you're respected for it. You're expected for your efforts and your work. And at that moment, I was like, there is no way this actually happens in the real world. The other time, I was working on a voluntary program, and we were working within a group. And at that moment, I was also the only I was the only girl within my group. And um, we had our first call where we were working on the reasonings, on our solutions. So we were all like giving our ideas and pros and cons of each idea, and just to finalize like the final solution that the whole group would go with. And there was this one person on the call who was really smart. And I acknowledged that they're really smart, And they were really silent throughout the call. And then towards the end of the call, we decided to go with my solution. And I was like, oh, what do we call them? Um, hey, hey, you're like really quiet. Is everything okay? Like, what do you think about the solution that we've chosen? Oh, what was the solution? Oh, you've been on this 2-hour call this whole time and you haven't been listening? Okay. So this was the solution. Oh, you know what? Let's meet up tomorrow, and if I don't come up with a better idea, then we'll go with Howard's solution. Okay. We meet up the next day, and props to A, he actually had a really good solution that went for like root cause. It wasn't as big, it wasn't as difficult, it wasn't as all over the place, it was really just to the point, but it was a bit unconventional, which we were a bit worried about. And when we finally got that solution authorized, and they were like, yeah, go for it, like green lights. uh I wasn't able to make a lot of the team meetings due to my schedule, and it was really just where a time that worked for everybody did not work for me. And I was like, that's completely fine. If it works for you, you guys can go ahead, have that meeting. But if someone could just, fill me in later, I'd really appreciate that. They have the meeting. I message on the group chat, hey guys, can anyone please fill me in on the meeting? No response. Hey guys, can someone please fill me in on the meeting? I don't want to be that deadbeat in the group. You know what I mean? And they asked me to join this team's call where they were still working on their solution. And I've asked all of these questions because I'm trying to get familiar with the solution. And it was really like vague answers, but like, yeah, oh yeah, we've thought of that. Oh yeah, we've thought of that. I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? I can contribute in XYZ manner. And there was part of deliverables was a report. And I was like, I can do the report. I have like very good report writing skills. Oh really? What was your grade on the last report? I think A did better than you, says B in the call. A probably did better than me, but I got 92, all right? Oh yeah, I got a 98 and I just did like the night before, just jammed it. I was like, that's great, but you guys are focusing on the solution. Someone needs to work on the other deliverables, so I can work on that. And during that entire call, my mic was not working because I didn't on it in the settings. So I was typing in the chat. And when we finalized, like, okay, I'll be in charge of the reports, I was like, okay, if there's anything else, then not anything else, then I'll go. And I won't forget it. It was like, A was like, yeah, now you can go. I give you permission to leave the call now. And in that moment, it didn't really click to me. It didn't really, I was like, okay, whatever. I hate men. I leave the call. And then I was talking to my friend about it literally 2 seconds later because I was telling her, oh my God, I don't know how to feel about this. And as I'm just recalling the experience, I just started feeling so angry. And your cheeks start burning up and you just start crying. I genuinely just started crying. And I was like, I can't believe someone would say that to me, because it wasn't funny. It wasn't a joke. He would not say that if it was another boy. Let's be honest here. You know? And I rejoined the call. I was like, and I on my setting, on my mic, and I was like, by the way, that was not funny. Engineering, it's still a male dominated field, but if you were to work with another female, you would not say that. If you were to talk to B, you would not say, I give you permission to leave the call. It's not funny. I respect you guys as teammates, as colleagues, as peers, but we're not friends. And at the end of the day, that would not be okay to say to anyone else. And I kid you not, the first response was, oh, she didn't get the joke, or she can't take a joke. And B did say, oh, I'm sorry, actually. I didn't realize that it hurt you that much. And after B said, oh, I'm sorry, was it like, okay, well, I'm sorry you felt that way. Up to this day, it annoys me a little bit, but that was definitely a time where I realized that, even though engineering is not longer fully a male dominated sector, it's still men.
I agree. And that's really a hard experience, to be honest, because I do cybersecurity as well. I felt these kind of things as well while I was doing my first year and second year, sitting as the only girl in my seminar. And when I used to ask questions, those eyes were staring at me. It just feels so like, I don't know, it's very intimidating that everyone's staring at you. And you're not even allowed to ask so many questions because everyone goes like, what the hell why are you asking so many questions? You are just disrupting the flow of the class or whatever. Like those small comments, it just makes you feel so weird at that time, and it's horrible. Yeah, but they're very targeted. It's very terrible experience.
I'm one of two in my like course, but like in general, there's a few girls across the year. But walking into, I don't know if it's a more of a cultural thing, because I definitely don't see it as much. I didn't see it as much when it was like I see it more from different cultures than I do from others. So like walking into a room, they all just stare at you like all the time. And I remember I was walking to a lab with my friend. He's a guy who were going into the lift, and there was a group of people, like lads, and they were just staring at me. And it was in the engineering building, and they were just staring at me. And I was just like, I just turned around and was like, "What are you looking at? Like, why are you just staring at me? There's no reason for you to be looking at me." And they got all like, and turned around. It's like, why are you staring at me? It's so irritating.
It is very annoying because it's like you experience this day to day, especially being in a STEM field. You experience it very often. It's not something that happens very rare, and it's not just us. There are many others who experience it. And coming to my question, so have there been any assumptions of that you being a girl that you'll be bad at something?
I think for me, because I do a lot of hands-on like motorsport stuff. So um last year I was doing like spannering, which is mechanic for race teams. And like there's a lot of assumption that, oh, you can't lift that or you can't do that because it's too tight, or like as much as like bolts, obviously. And as much as like, yeah, sometimes I might struggle more just because of like physical strength, but like the assumption is already there before I've even given it a go. And it's like, why are you assuming I can't lift something because I'm a woman? Like I found that with other things as well, just in life in general. Like, oh, do you want help lifting that? No, I'm already carrying it. What do you mean, do I need help lifting it? I'm already walking with it. But like no man would ever turn to another man and be like, do you need help carrying that? Like, no. It just is never gonna happen. Well, I don't know if you've experienced anything like that.
I guess for me, I kind of have from like a cultural thing. So back home, whenever I tell someone that, oh, I'm studying engineering, they always just assume that, oh, she's just studying to get that degree and then she'll just get married and sit at home. I've had that conversation once and I found it really annoying. Like deep down in my soul, it itched me because why would I cry and invest all of this time and effort and hard work into a degree for what, 3-4 years just to sit home and for you to assume that I'm just gonna sit home and take care of kids?
I think it's all the assumptions that are there. Like, even though the opportunities changed, as I already mentioned, the assumptions are still there. The attitude is still there that women can't do this. It's existing. And do you think it's generational thing or?
I think a good example of it is if a woman turns around and says they don't want children, everyone will say, oh, you'll change your mind. Whereas, like, my partner, for example, he doesn't want kids either. And every time he's told someone, not once have they ever turned around and been like, oh, you'll change your mind. You'll get maternal instinct or paternal instincts. Whereas, like, every time I've told someone, apart from my mother, obviously, she's great. They've always turned around and been like, you'll change your mind. You'll want kids. You'll have a maternal instinct. Like, the older I've gotten, the less maternal I've gotten. So, like, I don't really know why. But they'd never turn around to a man and say that. As much as that's not related to STEM, I think it's still quite
It's a
relevant.
very common experience.
Yeah.
To be honest, I will say that in this generation specifically, you do find a lot, like, it's a very like 30 to 70 split of where you still have that 30% of men that are actually educated and aware.
I think it
And
does depend how you grew up, though.
yeah. So it really just depends on how you grow up and the type of people that you grow up around. Some people actually do believe that you can do whatever you want with your life. If you have that hard work, you have the motivation, you will do it. Some people just believe that, oh no, it should be traditional just because your skin color is like that and your family is like that. So
I think there's still gender discrimination, even though it's subtle. And do you think that because it's subtle, so it's easier to dismiss that?
I think it is very, very subtle to the point where a lot of people don't realize they're doing it.
yeah.
So, like, for example, I think people make their own opinions based on gender stereotypes. So, someone may look at me and be like, oh, she's going to be soft spoken and not very direct and quite submissive. And then I'll talk and I'm not that. I'm quite direct. Like, I'd say I'm quite a dominant person when I speak. And I think, like, going against that stereotype is then the thing that makes people go, I don't like that person because they've not fit into that box that I've made in my head. And I think I have experienced that because I got called abrasive by a man. I got called abrasive because I'm quite direct. And I actually went to other people and were like, like, do you have this opinion on me? And they said, no, you're quite direct, but I don't think you're abrasive. But what I think happened was he'd made that opinion in his head that I was going to be this soft spoken, like quite placid and not challenge things. And because I was challenging things, that made me abrasive in his mind, which I think is a gender stereotype that you can't really control, but you can at the same time. It's just like how you perceive things. Um, that's I think subtly everyone is a little bit, even if you don't want to be like, I'm sure there's been times when I've made opinions on people which probably shouldn't have made the opinion on them, but like,
I think it comes from the fact that unconsciously it happens. Unconsciously, we do have that bias that is assumed to be there. Yeah.
To be honest, I would not have much to contribute to that because I'm just someone who feigns ignorance quite often. If you want to remain enthusiastic and steadfast on what you want, at some point you just have to be ignorant about things.
yeah.
And that is my defense mechanism where maybe someone has done it, but I refuse to acknowledge it and I refuse to.
I think there's two paths, and one of them is feigning ignorance, as you said, or you can fight it. But I think you have to be prepared if you're fighting it that you are going to ruffle some feathers. And like some people just don't want to do that. And if you don't want to do that, fine, it doesn't matter. But like for me, I'm definitely a feather ruffler.
I go by the ignorant side as well. I normally ignore instead of fighting because I'm not in that, like, I can't do that. But it's just sometimes you need to ignore some stuff, certain stuff.
Learning how to pick your battles is important. Like it was definitely something that I've learned the more I've been in like the industry and whatever. But I think like for me, I'd rather challenge it. Like I very much work by the philosophy of like, if you don't ask, you don't get. So for me, I'd rather challenge it, but I can understand why people wouldn't want to.
I didn't see any gender discrimination or certain kind of things when I was like in my early school days or during my school time, because I was always very empowered and done. Like my family was really supportive of me. That what's the problem if you are a girl? Girls and boys are the same. So like my kind of upbringing. So I was ignoring that if someone says anything like girls can't do this or women can't do this, I used to be like, huh, I don't care, whatever you say. But you learn that challenging aspect slowly and steadily. But coming to from that perspective, do you think these doubts and everything, what have they done to your confidence? How do they impact your confidence and you as a whole?
I think like from the experiences that I've shared, so with the whole saying I'm not going to be able to do it or being called abrasive, it very much did knock my confidence at first, like massive knock to my confidence. But I think it would knock anyone's confidence. But I think you learn to adapt and become resilient. And by going through these experiences, you are growing as a person, even if at the time they don't seem the most positive. Like you will come out of it positively. I think like you will grow in a positive direction because of these things that happen.
If something happens, that did not happen. I'm living my life. Everything's like rainbows and unicorns and cotton candy clouds. And that's how it works for me. And I feel like at some point, because you've mentioned about how you've grown up, I've grown up around very supportive women and to a very supportive family as well. And I love my family, don't get me wrong. But they've also educated me on the different type of people that do exist. And growing up to that, my mindset has completely shifted that if something will affect me negatively and I do not need it to affect me negatively, cotton candy skies are that way. Bye. So, generally speaking, I feel like because of that mechanism that I have, my confidence is not as affected.
I agree with that. Like, coming from the same perspective that I ignore whatever the comments people or like men basically past, like women can't do this or that or whatever. Because if I ignore that, that doesn't impact me at all. And which leads to me like saying cotton candy and all of that stuff. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I go by that attitude. But it's good to challenge it as well, because if you don't challenge it, that attitude is not going to change. And from that, I'll come up with another question. So, did you ever feel like you need to dull down your feminine energy just to fit into that STEM field or like those areas?
I think that's a difficult question to answer. I think it does really depend on sort of what you're
Individual.
going into. So like for me, when I in my second year, I would always get my nails done, like always, and I'd always get challenged on, oh, why are you getting your nails done? You won't be able to work on cars. You won't be able to do that, and like kind of leaning more into my feminine side by getting my nails done and like still being able to work on cars and like proving people wrong that like I can do it with my nails done. Like as much as it's a small thing, it was very very like empowering to like enhance my femininity in a way, like playing into it. But at the same time, like that does then create the assumption that you're not going to be able to do something because you've got your nails done or whatever. Or, oh, you're going to chip a nail, or you're going to break a nail. Like, just as an example, obviously. But it's like, I think it can go either way, in a way. I don't know if you agree with that.
I think she is correct. And to just add on to that, I feel like it also depends on each individual, because some girls just don't want to be feminine, and that's completely fine. If they feel prettier or more confident in baggy jeans and a hoodie, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm someone that as I've grown, I really do enjoy wearing like skirts and dresses. It does not show, but I do enjoy that. And I'm also the type of person where if I feel like I am pretty, I will feel confident. I'll feel like, okay, if I'm pretty, my headset is clear, I'm just gonna, whatever comes, I'll just go through it. And I've never had to feel where, okay, I have to, wear less makeup because I'm going into a room full of guys for an assessment or something. So I wouldn't say so, to be honest. But I feel like that's also something.
Yeah, I think it can be used as something to empower yourself as well. Like, there's nothing more empowering. Right. For example, I went to Halfords the other day. I needed to change my bulb on my car. Um, I walked in with a full length skirt on, looking kind of slay. You know what I mean? Walked in, got my bulb, whatever, and then I sat in the car park doing it. While there was like these guys were just staring at me while I was doing it. And then I saw them drive into the bay to get their lights done to pay someone else to do it. And I was just there like with my skirt and my tools, like changing it. And I've done that before where I was when I was out on placement, I had like my full like corporate outfit on, handbag, like walked in, got a battery, changed the battery on my car. Like it was like quite empowering. I remember ringing my mum. I was like, I've just done the most girl boss thing ever. Like, and I think it can be quite empowering to walk in and like everyone's heads looking at you and you just do it what they're not expecting.
To wrap this all, would you like to give a message to our viewers about, like, to the women who are listening to you? Any message for them?
I don't know. I think everyone's journey is individual, and I think like your experiences are going to be different from everyone's experiences. Like some people might go through the kind of STEM scene with people who are really backing their corner and like, like encouraging them, whereas some other people might go through it with having like permanent haters, you know what I mean? But I think as long as you back yourself, it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing around you. You are your biggest motivator, and you're your biggest critic.
Yeah.
And you need to remember that. So I think just stay true to yourself, really.
I'd say the world is constantly changing. It's a very fast changing world that we live in at the moment. Everyone's different. Everyone's lives are different. If you were maybe once in a STEM degree and you decide to switch to something medical, that does not mean anything. You're different and everything happens for a reason. You just have to keep on trying to push through. A small step as compared to doing absolutely nothing is a completely entire difference. So just keep on doing, even if it's just a little bit, just keep on going, and one day you'll just look back and be really happy that you pushed through.
I think as well, to add to that, is if you do decide it's not for you and you want to have a change, don't feel bad about that. Like you haven't failed. You're just deciding you have a passion that lies elsewhere. And I think that's really important to remember, that you are not defined by your degree. So even if you have got a degree in engineering, it doesn't mean you have to stick to it, regardless of what people might turn around and say. I think that's important to remember if you do decide, you know what, it's not for me, it's too intense, or, it's just not the environment and the culture I want to go into. You need to remember it's okay to say that.
And if you just do what you like, you'll be amazing. That's how successful people are born. They do what they love.
So as we end today's conversation, I would like to just sit with this, and because this is not just the numbers or the things that stories tell, it's about the feelings that are behind all of these conversations. I want you to think of all the boxes we could people in and we put ourselves in without realizing it. And so this has been great conversations. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.